That was me. Oh, thank you. Yes, please.
All right, it's a little bit after 3, so we will go ahead and get started. We do have a quorum. You want to call the roll?
Matt Guillory, Jorge Charnico, Anthony Blatt, Dylan Bradway, Donna Cervantes. Present. Tyler Holmes.
Here.
Lee Peoples.
Here.
Ben Sellers.
Here.
And James Barnum.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the December 20th, 2017 meeting. Those should be in your packets. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the December 20th meeting.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Looking down the agenda, we have no cases withdrawn, we have no continuance requests, and we have nothing on the consent docket. So we can move on to item 6A, the cases for individual consideration.
This application is for the demolition of an existing structure at 1414 Northwest 23rd Street with the reconstruction of a new building to replace it in essentially the same location on the project site, same building footprint, only a little bit slightly larger. And in addition to that, they are reconfiguring the parking lot, adding some on-site sidewalks, installing lighting, signage, and landscaping, along with the construction of a trash enclosure at the rear of the property. The only issue we've identified in the staff report for your consideration is the demolition guidelines that are in the code applicable to this project. In conclusion, in the staff report, as we've indicated in the staff report, we're supporting the approval of the demolition for the items or for the reasons that are outlined in the staff report, and we're prepared to respond to any questions the Commission may have.
Any questions for Michael? We'll hear from the applicant.
Okay. My name is Sam Gresham. I'm here to represent the owners. The project is Polo Comparo. It's a chain. It's in everywhere other than here, and now it will be here, hopefully. In the old Arby's building currently is in such poor shape. It was intended to be remodeled as our original plan, but first we discovered that the block walls were way too low for their prototype use, so we're going to have to raise them up. And the floor was too destroyed, and the owners were asking to have the floor removed. We removed the ceiling, and the deck was rotted. And they said, well, we got to replace that deck. And it's just about everything. There was not much left. I think we had 2 walls that didn't need to be touched, but they still need to be covered up. So the Arby's building was remodeled repeatedly and made into kind of we'll call it an abomination, aesthetic abomination. It was pretty poorly built, as well as being a little bit on the worn out side. So we're asking for your permission to tear it down. And
Any questions from the commissioners? I had a question for you, okay, on the the demolition ordinance. Do you have any did you have an engineer, anybody look at it, or other than just your assurances that it is in bad shape? Do you have any pictures or?
no, I'm sorry, I don't. We didn't take it. Is we would have kept it. We did a complete design to keep it, and we were working our way toward figuring out how to do that. And throughout that process, they chiseled up the floor, and the floor was pitted and dented. We were going to grind it if it had any condition that we could restore. It was so badly torn up, and we had, of course, cut the floor in places to get to the plumbing. So the floor was really gone, the whole floor. The construction on the original building had a glass It was popular, in the 70s, 80s. It was this glass sort of solarium kind of thing, but it was it was horribly hot, and it didn't really have any ductwork out there. So they put a canvas cover on it to try to, and that was a third of the structure. And when we got back into the building, I thought we had new air conditioners on the roof. We had one that had been replaced. The other two, which were the bigger two, were both 15 or 20 years old, or they were at the end of their useful life. Then they tore the ceiling out, and every contractor said, it's rotten. The deck is rusted out. So there wasn't anything left. We had two-thirds of a really crummy building after we took off that glass. I don't know how to,
I think if this building had been more of an architecturally significant or historically significant building, we would have been pressed harder for engineering documentation to indicate the deficiencies of the structure. But since it was a pretty much nondescript type of 1970s drive-through restaurant building, we didn't really press that hard for it.
Are any members of the public signed up to speak on this? Do we have any discussion among the commissioners?
Looks like it'll kind of be an improvement. They're improving the parking, taking out the non-conforming, and adding landscaping and all the requirements. So I'm in favor.
Any other discussion? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the application on the basis the project meets the regulations and guidelines of the Urban Design Overlay District zoning ordinance as referenced in Section C and D of the staff report.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. It is approved.
Thank you very much.
All right, that concludes our cases for individual consideration. We'll move on to other business. First item is a resolution recognizing Betsy Brunstetter for her service on the Urban Design Commission. Do we have that for signature, or do we just need to approve it and then? Okay. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Make a motion to approve the resolution recognizing Betsy Brunstetter for her service on the Urban Design Commission.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the resolution is approved, and we'll circulate that for signature. The second item is for us to look at the proposed ordinance on short-term lodging. Michael, do you have a presentation for us on that, or? Okay.
Hi, I'm J.J. Chambliss. I'm with the Development Services Department. We're processing this ordinance amendment to address and establish some regulation for what's commonly referred to as Airbnb. There are others. It's a fairly new and growing trend in the hospitality industry. You all may know how it works, but a homeowner registers his home with a bedroom or a number of bedrooms, or in some cases the entire home, on the internet, and offers overnight or short-term lodging accommodations. Currently in the zoning code, we don't have anything that regulates this type of activity. We're trying to establish some conditions to allow the Airbnb, or what we're calling home sharing. So what we've done is we created a definition of what home sharing is, and the use will be allowed in any zoning district that allows single-family residential. And so that's why I'm here, because there are certain areas within the urban design district that allow single-family. So that if you meet certain conditions in the ordinance, you would be allowed to provide home sharing. And those conditions are the rental of the rooms or the home could not exceed 30 consecutive days. If you exceed 5 bedrooms, that kicks you out of the residential building code into more of a commercial building code, and we would consider at that point that you are a commercial bed and breakfast. You must obtain a license. There's a companion ordinance to this that is establishing a licensing procedure and an ability for the city to collect the required hotel motel tax. And the fourth condition is that all those taxes and applicable fees must be paid. I know that the council has already entered into an agreement with Airbnb to collect the hotel motel tax, and they've been doing that since August, I believe. But there are others out there, and I assume that an individual could just do home sharing on their own without an umbrella corporation. So that's it in a nutshell. We feel like this is a good approach to get some regulation on these type of uses. We've been to all the other design districts, got their recommendation. You're the last, and we would hope for your support. We'll take your comments or recommendation on to the Planning Commission and ultimately the City Council.
Do we have any questions?
I was just curious if there's been any feedback from the public, or will that come when it goes to City Council?
It would probably come more at the Planning Commission stage. We did meet with with representatives last week from the historic preservation neighborhoods. They have some concerns and want to continue to meet with us. They will probably be coming to the Planning Commission study session and Urban Development Committee meeting.
Will individual homeowners have to apply and get the conditional use approved, on a case-by-case basis?
Yes, they would have to, each homeowner would have to obtain a license from the city, and at that point, when they're obtaining the license, that's when the conditions would be verified that they meet the conditions to obtain the license.
Well, I guess what are those conditions? What's I guess there's a cost to getting a license? Is that?
Cost for the license,
Yeah.
Susan?
I believe it's $24.
Okay.
And there'll be an application form that they'll fill out that they'll have certain information required as far as, their names, addresses. If they don't live in state, they need to have a contact person. It's really a verification that they meet the building codes and have smoke detectors and that type of thing. Basically, that's most of it.
And so we're generally providing a recommendation, but we're not like involved in approving that or anything on a case basis.
No, since any ordinance change or any change to the zoning in the urban design district that goes to the Planning Commission must first come to you to review and make a recommendation.
Yeah. Okay. I just was, as opposed to us actually take hearing cases. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And just for the record, there's no members of the public are here to speak on this. So any other questions from the commissioners? Do we have a recommendation? Would anyone like to make a recommendation to the Planning Commission and Council to act or not act on this?
I'll make a motion to make the recommendation to the Planning Commission and City Council for an ordinance related to the zoning and planning code.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, we have our recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item of business will be the election of officers. First is the election of the chair, and I would open the floor up for nominations.
I recall that we may have had a discussion at some point last year about the vice chair rolling into the chair. Is that accurate? And I would like to nominate Jorge Charnico as new chair.
We have Jorge. Any other nominations? Okay, we will close nominations on Jorge. And would anyone like to discuss his qualifications for chair, or do we just want to vote?
He's had opportunity to serve. I think he's done a good job. I heartily recommend him.
Okay. Well, we have Jorge Charnico nominated for chair, and all those who would vote in favor for Jorge?
Aye.
Aye. All right. He is elected chair. Now we will have nominations for vice chair. So we'll open up nominations for vice chair.
Somebody's not here.
Yeah, who's not here?
I'd like to nominate Lee to consider being vice chair, since he's had the opportunity and seems to be comfortable in that position and has the experience. So I nominate Lee Peoples.
That's what I get for coming today. But thank you. I accept the nomination.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? All right. All those in favor of me being vice chair?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. I will serve as vice chair. And is this effective immediately? Next meeting? Okay. Thank you. All right. We'll move on to communications.
We have 3 items for administrative approval of the past month. The first one is some signage for a project in Paseo. Second is window replacement and some other minor details for a building up in the northeast portion of the Plaza District. And the third is some parking rearrangements and accessibility ramps being added to a project in the Asian District on the west side of Classen.
Any questions from the commissioners on those? All right. Those are just communications. They don't need approval. Is that correct?
Yes, they were approved administratively by staff.
That's right.
Past month, yes.
Okay. We have no other items on the agenda, just the next meeting date is February 28th. So we'll be adjourned.
28th.